Hello, everyone. It is our great pleasure to greet you all to this event. It is my privilege to welcome our chief guests, eminent speakers, delegates, and participants on today's webinar. Rajendranath College of Polytechnic is going to host this international webinar on impact of rethinking and reinventing educational technologies, strategies, and planning in past and present COVID-19. We are delighted and also honored to be able to conduct this event and to make the acquaintance of you all here at RCP. Rajendranath College of Polytechnic is a premier technical educational institute in West Bengal, and it was established by Sri Jayanta Kumar Chakraborty, the founder president of Rajendranath Education and Welfare Trust. Rajendranath College of Polytechnic was established with the endeavor of providing quality education on technological aspects. We are providing diploma engineering courses in the field of civil, mechanical, electrical, and also in computer science and technology. RCP persistently seeks and adopts inventive methods to improve the quality of higher education on a consistent basis. This institution has been functioning since 2012 and it is approved by All India Council of Technical Education under the Ministry of MHRD, and it is affiliated by West Bengal State Council of Technical and Vocational Education and Skill Development. Well, we all are aware that the COVID-19 pandemic situation makes for an uneasy time for us. The COVID-19 has resulted in school, colleges shut down all across the globe. This is a unique situation in our technical education too. And RCP has taken the lead so that studies are not compromised at all and students do not fall back on their curriculum. During this time, we remain as passionate as ever about helping the students to learn, grow, and connect with their beloved teachers all the time. Both here and on our social media platforms, we are prolonged with sharing uplifting stories, new ways to learn, and courses that the students would love to do. In fact, as COVID-19 disrupts our teaching and learning for a longer period of time, it helps us to plan ahead by considering creative and efficient online options to organize exams and assignments. The lockdown has accelerated adoption of digital technology too. It is a chance to be more efficient and productive while developing new and improved professional skills or knowledge through online learning and assessment. And today's topic of this international webinar will focus on this timely theme only. Rather, by the help of this event, we are here to help our community during this critical time as the future is being created in the present tense. We all are familiar with beginnings, right? They can be small steps, but its impact can be experienced in giant leaps. So, I humbly request our Honorable Principal, Professor Tanmoy Sinha, respected Principal of RATE, Professor Dr. B.C. Swine, our respected Professor Tanmoy Somnath Ghotok, HOD, Basic Science and Humanities, to kindly make a new beginning through illuminating the traditional lighting of lamps. Sir, please. Symbolic act of the light that shines within all our hearts. So, after the lighting ceremony of our traditional lamp, let's start today's program. First of all, I would like to invite our respected CEO, Shri Madan Sarkar, to please convey your message. Sir, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mr. Kajol Das, who is your Honorable Director, Technical Education. And good afternoon, all the faculties, senior faculties, and the principals who are attending this webinar. And also, I would like to welcome Dr. Pastor, for which this virtual event is organized. First of all, I would like to say that our principal has fixed the topics of the seminar with rethinking and reinventing education and technology strategies and planning in the present and past COVID-19. I would like to add one term that is reshaping also. Reshaping because the COVID-19, the dangerous COVID-19 outbreak has collapsed everything, has badly affected the world economy and also badly affected the Indian economy, including the education sector. And I think so how to get rid of this poor shape and how to get rid of this dangerous condition. Today, Dr. Pastor will cover and he will say covering the main topics. I would just like to say that industrial sector has been hit very badly and also education sector because many, almost 3 crores employees have lost their jobs and lots of MSME units have also shut down their business or industries. In this condition, our students are also suffering, education institutions are also suffering. Day before yesterday, ASSOCHAM has organized a international seminar on the same topic and all the owners, directors, authorities of the private institution also joined this seminar and they have put a request to Union HRD Ministry so that to save education sector, particularly who are controlled privately by the private ownership. I would like to say another thing that I've got. Professor Borun Das has suggested alternate education. Alternate education means remote learning. Yes, I would ask Mr. Borun Das, when the COVID-19 lockdown period is over, he can organize one seminar for this purpose. And for the time being, I would just like to point out one thing, that while we have introduced the online education or remote learning, but we are also facing some problems. The problem in the form of students accepting the modus operandi, because many students are not joining the online classes. They they are totally unable to afford to the cost of smartphone, laptop, PC, and also internet connection. Whatever internet connection we are getting, that is very slow, not speedy. And for this, we need high-speed internet connection. That is why I would suggest the authorities of the education ministry that they should look into this matter. And also I am sure to find that almost 3 crores unemployed persons, many of them from West Bengal, and they are now migrated laborers. They also can't find any job. Their earning source of income they have lost till now. And I would like to advise everyone so that we can adapt to the alternate education or remote learning, and we can go far ahead for this, so that the persons who have lost their jobs, not only jobs, their education system also badly affected. We have to rethink and we have to reinvent the strategy. Which strategy that will be expressed by our Dr. Pastor. I would suggest and I would like to point out many of our students were selected by the placement cell in different job positions in different industries. But because of the critical situation, they are not in a position to join their jobs. So that has to be also looked into. I would again welcome Dr. Pastor to speak on the topic, and we all would hear it, and we will be will enrich our knowledge base, and also will learn many things how to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic. That is all. Thank you all. Hello. Hello.
Thank you very much for your wonderful speech, sir. Thank you. Now, I consider it a great honor to request our respected Technical Director of Rajendranath College of Polytechnic, Sri Kajol Dash, to convey your valedictory speech. Sir, please.
Dr. Pastor. Philippines. Philippines.
Type of program, this type of program are waste crisis. There is a worldwide crisis today, and there is opportunity also. How to get that opportunity? We have to adapt the changes as fast as possible. Worldwide pandemic has created deep crisis in education sector, as already mentioned by Mr. Madan Sarkar. In every sphere, be it in international, national, entire world is suffering. The students are unable to reach good institutions, to reach, to get the best teaching aids. Everything is in crisis. There are some examples, like in UK there is a study that due to pandemic, it has hit their financials also. They have lost because of their migrant students. A study was there. I was looking into that. 1,77,000 crore was lost due to this pandemic situation. That means the students are unable to reach the total academic schools, colleges like that. Harvard had started their academic session only with 40% of the students, giving a discount of 10% on the fees. And still there are confusions. You all see in the newspaper that there is a lot of confusion whether they have to come to the classroom or they have to be on the digital setup. There are a lot of confusion. So all around there is a turmoil, and guidelines are yet to come, but it will take some time to settle down and get the firm guideline. The situation is now dependent entirely on the entire world ecosystem. The ecosystem has got totally disrupted. So the opportunity remains with us that the students who were leaving country, they are getting retained in our country. That is a great opportunity for us if we can provide a good class, good session, good program. They will be with us. That is the opportunity that I mentioned in the beginning. We have to look into the behavioral aspect, health safety of the student. This is of the prime requirement. Like distancing or wearing mask, sanitation, these are the must. Health checkup on the regular basis. We should not forget all this. India too, the education system has a big impact. It is very clear that near future the methodology on the education system is going to be changed. In India, situation is slightly precarious than the European countries or America. Here the situation is like that. Only 24% of the Indian household are having internet facility. Only 36% of the schools are without electricity. So how to go about that? So the things at the same time, our honorable minister, HRD minister, Sri Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank, he has proposed change in the national education policy. He wants to be a robust as a national education policy. He has recently told it in a address at IIT Tirupati, where he told that India has to become the Vishwaguru on the education sector, that is the teacher of the world. With this, keeping this in mind, he wants a robust education system needs to be developed to adapt booming technology like artificial intelligence, automation, robotics, and to improve, which will improve the social values of the entire students and community as a whole. Now the entire philosophy of education has to get transformed in the light of pandemic. But the more dependence, as rightly told, it will be on the digital platform, on the IT-based solution, on the 3D modeling, and to ensure this following are needed to be done. Like we have to look into the infrastructure. Whatever infrastructure improvements are planned to be implemented at the earliest. Network provider, as Mr. Madan Sarkar has told, the network is poor. We need to have very strong network. Guideline of the government is also one of the most essential things which we need to have. Health security is of prime importance. As you know, the Rajendranath group of education in Durgapur is not only aiming for the education or for the qualification of the students, they are primarily improving the society as a whole. Now, what to do? Now, to plan for revival loss of academic sessions, we have to plan it, build up mechanism to get out of this. A mechanism has to be built up. More and more online courses to be started, distributing study materials and books online, because books are very essential those can be distributed, like procurement of ebooks and licensing of different journals or whatever study materials are available on the network. Those are to be procured. Tie up with the latest and very good institutions of the world. We have to approach on a collaborative mode. Like with the good institutions, we can have exchange of sessions. We can have exchange of digital platform. We can share the best practices and best process of other institutions. So these are the things we need to start immediately. And Rajendranath College of Polytechnic has already doing all these things, and I hope that we will make it fast and we can come out of the situation at the earliest. With this, I thank all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable words. Thank you. I would like to now request our convener, our respected principal of Rajendranath College of Polytechnic, Professor Tanmoy Sinha, to please convey your message. Sir, please.
Good afternoon. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce and welcome our honorable speaker, Professor Dr. Pastor from Philippines, Honorable Chairman Sir, CEO Sir, Director Sir, Swine Sir, and distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. The topic of the webinar is on rethinking and reinventing educational technologies, strategy and planning in past and present COVID-19. Today, we have 1,500 participants, industrial experts, and professionals joining this international webinar, and the participants came together to discuss on the topic rethinking and reinventing educational strategy and planning in past COVID-19. In this conduction, I would like to share my thoughts regarding the webinar. The lockdown has accelerated the adoption of digital technologies. Business house, education institute, analytics, computers, data management methods, and online education solution has been forced to work in tandem and improve in quality and deliver time to handle such situation. This is an ideal time to experiment and deploy new tools to make education delivery meaningful to students who cannot go to the campuses. It is a chance to be more efficient and productive while developing new and improved professional skills through online learning and assessment. Looking at this challenge of college and school being shut, Government of India as well as state government and private players regularly being publishing information on various initiatives undertaken by HRD, Department of Technical Education, NCRT, and other to support and benefit the youth. A few initiatives by SIAM for the teachers, UG and PG MOOCs for the non-technical courses, and UGC, YouTube, Vidya Bhavan, and NEET, an initiative by AICT based on the PPP model to enhance employability skill among the students. In collaboration of Education Technology Company and National Digital Library, a repository of learning resources with single window. Many noteworthy initiatives have been taken like spoken tutorials, free and open source software for education, e-mantra, Google Classroom, etc. All these steps will help strengthen the country digital infrastructure in long run. Today, we are privileged to have an opportunity to listen the rethinking and reinventing education strategy and planning in present and past COVID by Sir Dr. Professor Pastor this afternoon. On behalf of all gathered here, I welcome you, sir, on the literary afternoon of the International Webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. We all are inspired by your great words. Well, we feel honored to have with us the honorable speaker of today's event, Professor Dr. Pastor Arguelles. He is the man of distinct vision and a fountainhead of illuminating ideas, an idol of knowledge, experience, and inspiration to all of us. At this moment, we are very excited to hear some words from Professor Dr. Pastor Arguelles, the Dean at the College of Computer Studies, University of Perpetual Health System, DALTA, Philippines. Sir, I would like to invite you to share your valuable words with us on the impact of this global crisis that has made us for rethinking and reinventing educational technologies, strategies, and planning in present and past COVID-19. Sir, please.
Okay, hi, good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, of course, thank you very much to Rajendranath College of Polytechnic, especially to the CEO, to the top management, and of course through Dr. Tanmoy Singa, the principal. Uh, I am very honored and privileged to be present to discuss with you the topic of this afternoon's international webinar. Well, my discussion is composed of four major topics. These are, of course, I will discuss first the local uh, discussion on here in the Philippines about the paradigm shift in education sector. Second would be prospects of increase in IT or information communication technology implementation and instructional designing in education for continued learning, changes that we expect in the skill requirements of our students, and last but not the least, number four is flexible learning or flexible learning options that best practices of different universities in the world, especially here in the Philippines, may be in part or impart to everyone who are participating this afternoon. First, I would like to give you some background on the trifocalization of the Philippine educational system. Here in the Philippines, we have three branches of the educational system. It is composed of the Department of Education, the Commission on Higher Education, where my universities belong, or even my departments belong, and the Technical Educational Skills Development Authority. So these are the three branches of educational system here in the Philippines. Now, in the Department of Education, uh, we implemented what we call the DepEd Commons. These DepEd Commons are accessible to both private and public schools to help students continue their lessons. Second to that is the ICT portals. It is also a portal of learning resources or even the activity sheets and online tutorials for alternative learning systems for teachers and learners. Of course, we cannot avoid the challenges. In the last year's enrollment here in the Philippines, we have a figure as to be basis of the Philippine educational system. We'll be expecting around 27 million students to enroll in the basic education system this coming school year. But with the early closure of the school year in March because of COVID-19, uh, the enhanced community quarantine in effect, and the still unclear future of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Department of Education and our millions of learners are facing enormous challenges. And we all know that not only Philippines, not only India, but many countries in the world. Of course, in a classroom study and individual study, online classroom work, blended learning will allow students to learn at their own pace and under guided modules. The Department of Education has actually launched an online study platform called, as I mentioned, DepEd Commons, accessible to both private and public schools to help students continue the lessons, and even the ICT portals. However, the challenge of technology access still remains for public school. Later on, I'll be discussing some other things that make the educational system more challenging. Other factors such as home environment, because it's very conduciveness to learning. Learner attitudes toward the home learning, technology competence can affect learner or learner outcomes, and the effective use of a blended approach or blended learning. Thank you for the presentation, for the PowerPoint presentation. Please come into the third slides, please. Learning at home also requires parent participation and support. Now, educations in new normal will not be about operating in an environment that secures the health of students, nor it will be about completely transitioning to online modalities. Just yesterday, I have some conversation with my friend in United Kingdom. They said that in their country, they said that the government has no plan in terms of implementing some blended learning options or approach in order for the students and teachers' safety or health security. So therefore, it's very alarming and it's very scary in terms of health security. Now, instead, it should be about using technology to increase efficiency in areas with the capacity to do so, while empowering learners and communities to create positive learning or learning environments in which the student can grow. It should be in sacrifice quality, but continue to provide equal opportunities, most especially to the marginalized and vulnerable sectors like the youth, the young ones. It is not on of course on one size it fits its solution, but that's the dependent on the needs of its learning. Now, let's go with the Commission on Higher Education here in the Philippines, or what we call CHED. Now, we are going to implement a flexible learning. And when you say flexible learning, it is the use of digital and non-digital technology. It does not necessarily require connectivity. It means that using the national or community radio, or commonly known, maybe we can use distance learning. And for those higher education institutions are using online learning already, it can continue on the next school year. When you say flexible learning, it's a combination of an offline and online approach of teaching and learning. So therefore, using remote learning and educational resources to mitigate loss of learning. It's very important. That's why some of the people here in the Philippines, many of the people would like to suspend the class this school year. But the government insisted that we have to actually open the school, or rather the education system, for our students. Many countries have turned to distance learning as a means of mitigating for last time in school. One example of it is China, Italy, France, Germany, even Saudi Arabia, mobile phones or television in Vietnam, or even in Mongolia. In addition to infrastructure and connectivity, teachers and administrators' familiarity with the tools and processes are also the key factors in providing the distance learning, especially in Singapore. Other countries actually send these kids the lessons learned. For example, one particular example is in Lebanon, because there, more than 800,000 accounts has been created for all teachers and parents, especially in Bulgaria. Publishers have been mobilized, open the digital textbooks and learning materials 1 to 10. And the TV channels will broadcast educational TV. And that's exactly how the distance learning will work. The topic number 2 would be the prospect of increase of IT implementation and instructional designing in education for continued learning. Next slide, please. In 2017, in Southeast Asia alone, the internet speed, Philippines ranked number 6 in Southeast Asia. We have an average of 5.5 Mbps as internet speed, the national internet speed. Number 1 is Singapore with an average of 71 Mbps. But right now, Singapore has earned 100 Mbps, the national average. Now, the government in the Philippines has a plan in terms of resolving this issue or solving this problem, and they would like to increase our bandwidth or internet speed by 2022 for 100 Gbps. So imagine, as also a preparation for educational system and some government infrastructures and internet connectivity. Again, also in 2017, the percentage of adults with a mobile account in Southeast Asia, Philippines is ranked number 5. We have an average of 4.2 among countries in Southeast Asia that has mobile account. Number 1 in rank is Cambodia. But right now, the Philippines have already huge number of mobile phone accounts in here in the Philippines. And therefore, that's why mobile phones, in terms of internet usage, one of the factors that the government is considering in terms of using the online platform technology, in terms of learning and teaching. The Philippines mobile phones internet users from 2017 to 2023. In 2017, we have 34.5 million access to internet through mobile phones. In 2023, that's the study, that 50.8 mobile phone internet users, 50.8 million mobile phones will be actually the internet users but by that particular year. Next slide. And then using remote and learning education resources to mitigate loss of learning, one of those is adopting inline learning platforms for use in smartphones. Next slide, please. And then at the same time, mobile phones, laptops, and other electronic gadgets, publishers should mobilize to open the digital textbooks. Of course, that's what exactly the Department of Education is doing. They are actually training the teachers in terms of designing electronic books, textbooks, digital textbooks, and learning materials for the Department of Education. Using the national TV channels, government TV, should broadcast educational television for basic education. And I know India is also practicing that way. Distance learning as a means of mitigating for lost time in school. Now, in many years, take note that in many years, we are in 1970s, in 80s, in 1990s, we are already using some approach method was used. Of course, we use record class materials in mediums such as audio tapes and also the VCD players. The setup required, of course, teaching material and reaching the student to actually advance the little interaction between teachers and the students. The teaching method was used mostly in short-term professional and courses, or used to supplement regular classroom learning for, of course, higher year students in different specified subjects that did not require much teacher-student interaction. Next slide. The next topic would be, the third topic that we have actually is the changes that we expect in the skill requirements of students. Actually, it is not really an issue, especially in nowadays in terms of the mind of the Generation Z people, or what we call the Generation Alpha, or commonly known as the children of millennials. These generations beyond and beyond are more prepared for non-classroom types of learning, or commonly known, they are techie or technology people, as they grew up adept, even fearless, and even using technology in the Philippines and even in the world. Of course, the Department of Education wants to harness mass media aside from online learning systems in order to ensure that no child is left behind, meaning all resources of the government will be used so that education or learning of our young people will not be compromised. Therefore, one example of it is that during the one interview in the television here, in the local television of our Department of Education Undersecretary Nepomuceno Malaluan, said that students in some parts of the country might get their lessons through television and radio this school year if in trouble area remains restricted to stem COVID-19 cases. They will use local government units, especially barangay, the village, the local government, the municipality, in order for them to distribute or deliver learning materials to the home or houses of different students. Therefore, the opening of school year, academic year 2020-21 in the country does not mean necessarily that students will be coming to school. They said that the classes can take a multimodal approach. And when you say multimodal approach, where they are looking to ICT platforms like learning management systems, or even as well as television and even radio station. They are more prepared. Millennials are more prepared for non-classroom types of learning as they grew up adept, fearless in using different digital or electronic devices or technology. And classes can take a multimodal approach, as I have mentioned a while ago. Now, next slide. The challenges of ICT in today's educational system, actually, maybe some other countries, especially the third world country. First, insufficient facilities in government and even private schools as a result of budgetary constraints. We have to admit that. Instilling in teachers and instructors or professors the importance of their role in implementing information communication technology-based learning in order to improve students' capability and skills. Number three, which is very sad, lack of instructors with the knowledge and skills in ICT. According to the Commission on Higher Education, only 30% of the teachers or instructors can actually depending or ICT-based skills. So it's very alarming. Therefore, the government is actually training different teachers in different universities, institutions, for them to be able to skill up their the knowledge, the capability, and I think it is working. Now, in actually online study platform, it's actually called some accessible both private and public schools. We're not yet into to this slide of flexible learning options. We are still on the last couple of slides before that. Therefore, the alternative learning system platform in partnership with the UNICEF called ICT Portals. It's a portal of learning resources and activity sheets and online tutorials or alternative learning systems of teachers. And some of this is called the Globe e-Library Project, which is actually a collection of free local and international public domain of ebooks, ranging from classic storybooks, novels for the K-12 programs or learners of the educational system. And the electronic library should be likewise be available, and some videos that are needed in order for the students to learn while they are staying at home. Now, next and the last topic that I have with me is, of course, the flexible learning options. Now, what is flexible? I have already mentioned flexible learning. It's a combination of an online and offline teaching and learning approach. Flexibility, when it is used, when incorporated into curriculum design, enables people more choice in their learning. As I said, flexible learning options can be synchronous meeting or synchronous learning or asynchronous learning. What is the difference between the two? Now, in the virtual classrooms, we'll use both face-to-face online classes and self-paced instructional modules. Teaching and learning shall provide. So this is one of the strategies and plan that or best practices that anyone could actually steal or use in terms of implementing it into your own institution or school. Both synchronous and asynchronous engagement of students. Synchronous or online meetings can be done through video conferencing using different learning management system or video conference tool like Cisco WebEx and this kind of tool that we are using right now, Google Meet, etc., and other virtual media platforms. Because asynchronous learning engagement is actually encouraged when there is no real-time interaction between students and faculty and simultaneous conduct of virtual class assessment, meaning people can, our students can stay at home, can actually use their hard copy learning material, reading it, and then until the time that the teacher will actually meet them virtually using some video conference tool. Asynchronous learning can also be facilitated by providing students with actually self-paced learning modules containing learning tasks and even experiential engagements which are actually presented in portable learning packets for those who have limited or no internet connectivity. Now, next slide. The delivery models that are actually the table that are actually inclusive of all categories of students. Previous slide, please. Previous slide. It's categorized by three. It can be in high-level technology, medium-level technology, and low-level technology. What is high-level technology? In terms of high-level technology, the adaptability of devices can be, students can use or the faculty, teachers can use laptops, mobile phones, tablets, desktops. Internet connectivity should be fast. And in terms of level of digital literacy, they should be proficient. They should be very proficient. And the school should meet the training or orientation, both students and of course to the parents as well. Because parenthood is the primary concern nowadays. Parenthood. And the approaches would be online learning and blended learning. The medium level of technology, the availability of devices mostly available can be done by phones. The internet connectivity may be slow or poor, and the level of digital literacy should be advanced. And approaches would be macro and micro learning approaches, meaning it's a mixture of online and offline activities. Now, the third one, which is very sad, the low-level technology. The low-level technology, as far as the flexible learning is concerned, would be categorized in terms of availability of devices, can be some mobile phones or no technology at all. Meaning, in terms of internet connectivity, none, zero internet connection. And the level of digital literacy, beginner, meaning novice, starter. And the approaches would be self-instructional modules, mostly offline activities. Now, so this is exactly one of the factors in terms of model strategies. Now, the virtual classes, which is the face-to-face online classes facilitated by a teacher, at an established time with students engaged in learning experiences would be in real time or synchronous, held by, as I mentioned, by using a virtual technology platform. And screen time is regulated by asynchronous sessions are scheduled to avoid the risk of having health issues, meaning they are just staying at home, related to spending too much time on screen, and recorded and uploaded to students' access if actually necessary. Now, modules should be available. The modules, meaning the self-paced instructional modules organized in learning packets in print or digital format, which are uploaded in the learning management system platform. Now, if some of you has no LMS yet, definitely the school should manage to invest this type of technology. For students with limited or no internet connectivity, modules may be picked up in school or actually sent by courier. At the same time, the designed with learning outcomes, pre-activity learning tasks, and post-assessment, students will work independently on learning modules at their own pace, but actually would need to submit this on or before the deadlines of the school. It depends on the guidelines that may be imposed by the school. And the teachers, of course, should be available for consultation. You have to establish that the communication of the teacher to student is actually available, especially in terms of consultation in designated times. Next slide. The other delivery models. Now, of course, some of the delivery models, laboratory courses are taught through synchronous, meaning with video conferencing. And asynchronous frameworks using, of course, the simulations from reputable sources, which are uploaded and in any virtual media platforms. Definitely, various forms of assessment should be conducted to determine students towards the standards, and these assessments may be formative or summative purpose. Take note, assessment should be done by the teacher in two ways. It could be informative or in summative purpose. What is formative assessment? When you say formative assessment, the the professor, or it empowers the professor to actually ascertain how well students are doing a work in progress of his or students. While the summative assessments allow professors to determine how well students did at the end of a task or a job. So it's different. Performance-based assessments such as different students' portfolio, research papers, electronic examinations, video recorded student reports, laboratory activities, and different assessments are the same time used to evaluate students' performance. We all know that. Lastly, you need to provide grading rubrics so that to students, so that for them to be aware of the grading criteria for the assignments and different performance tasks that they have already established as far as class performance is concerned. Next slide. The framework for flexible learning with different modalities for delivering instruction. As I mentioned a while ago, this is only composed of three. One, virtual laboratory. Second, asynchronous, which is e-learning. And third is online, which is also e-learning. In terms of virtual laboratory, using simulation software application or laboratory demonstration as scheduled by the office of the school. And asynchronous, which is e-learning, by using the learning management system application, hard copy, the flash drives, the lecture offline, and of course the consultation using messaging, using cell phone, the SMS technology, and even the social media. And of course, the online, which is the e-learning also, could also establish their learning inside the classroom, laboratory inside the classroom, and consultation virtually. So those are the three very important learning modality that we could actually establish or use as best practices that we may be able to implement here in the Philippines. And last but not the least, the adherence of parents. When you say adherence, that's the support of parents. The parenthood. Parenthood is very significant in this pandemic period. Why? Because setting up a sufficient, of course, one of those things that the parents should actually invest is to set up lighting and comfortable study space with the technology needed at home. Number two would be expect and prepare for technical issues that may happen. So the parent should be at the side of the student, especially those who are learning. No. Now another one is securing that the child attached to his or class schedule. Remember, the parents should be able to know and understand, noted the schedule of his or her children for them to strictly monitor the child's gradual improvement regularly. I think for me, if you are going to ask me, it would really have a good working chemistry between the student, the parent, and the teacher. Because the teacher is also there watching, monitoring. And then the other one is continue the open line communication between teachers and parents. That's very important. It's online communication and open communication every day. Now, of course, it's very huge responsibilities in the part of the teacher because each day of his life full of consultation, not only with the teachers and not only with the students, but with the parents as well. Now, last thing that we have to understand is the online learning etiquette that the school should provide, not only for students, but of course, through the parents. Be respectful. That's number one. Be respectful. Number two, you should be aware of using a strong language. It's foul. It's no. Be careful with humor or sarcasm online. It will affect the learning environment between, of course, by everyone online. The grammar, of course, will matter, and spelling matter. It will matter also. And of course, cite the sources of all these things, and don't post or share something inappropriately, especially those inappropriate material. If you have some questions and comments, I would be happy to answer those. And it ends my presentation. That's all. Thank you very much. Back to you, sir. Thank you.
Wow, that was a wonderful speech. Thank you so much, sir, for your words of inspiration that radiated a source of energy within us. Okay, so the participants, those who have participated in this event, you can ask the questions whatever you are having and just mention the questions, and our speaker is going to answer you soon. So I would request the participants to please mention the questions whatever you are having in the comment box, and our speaker is going to answer you soon. Okay, so the first question that I'm getting here, that is from Dipanshu Pramanik, official. How to improve our study skill through online? Sir, I repeat, how to improve our study skill through online?
Is that the question I have to answer?
Yes, the question is
Oh,
how to improve the study skill through online.
well, it's very difficult to answer. But for me, I'm a parent, and I understand how my son or my children would actually learn from whatever modality would be used. Now, in terms of online learning, how would we improve the skills or the learning of the student? It is just for me, it is just a matter of discipline. If we already establish the discipline at the back of our mind or inside in our head, learning is not really a problem because everything is in place already. The organizational things that the student as well as the parent will do is already in place. Of course, the schedule, the time when the teacher, the student will study, the time when the student will actually review his lesson, the time when the student will actually play, the time when the student should attend different online classes. So definitely, it's just a matter of programming or organizing your activities every day. Now, I think it is an issue of not only with the concern of the school, but at the same time, as I mentioned a while ago, it's like an issue of being a parent, the parenthood aspect. Uh, because during the time that we have no pandemic like this, the students are actually free doing their what they want. They want to go out they want to go out from home. They want to play outside. They want to go mall. But now they will just stay at home. Here in the Philippines, those young people aged 21 and below cannot get out of their houses. So that's why the online teaching and learning is actually implemented or going to be implemented here in the Philippines. So it will be a challenge. It's a big challenge in the side of the parents, not only on the side of the school. So I think it's just a matter of organizing things on the everything should be in place from the parent, from the school, and to the student at the same time. It's an issue of doing the right thing and doing the right way. Verify things and validate things if everything is in place already. I think that's the answer from that question. Thank you for that. Back to you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so next question. Okay, I'm getting one question here, and that is from Artrab Ahmed. What is the advantages and limitations of hybrid education over online education?
Hybrid, of course, it can also be considered as flexible. It can be in terms of using technology, in terms of using the distance learning, different modality like, as I mentioned in my statement, using the TV stations, radio stations. And I think my answer would work on depend. It depends on the area or the geography in terms how it's going to be implemented. Just like here in the Philippines, The reason why we are going to implement flexible learning or even distance learning as well as blended learning is that many of our students are actually, especially in the province, who are living in the mountains. They have no technology in place there. They have no even radio. They do not even have a television. What they have there is just trees, their house, their home. That's why the government is just to sustain and mitigate this problem, and everybody deserves to have an education, even they have no technology. All these learning materials, the hard copies, will be sent to them using the government manpower. It will be delivered to the different houses in the province or to remote areas in our country. And in terms of those who have, that's why in my presentation I have discussed something related to learning modality, the virtual laboratory, the synchronous and the online, and even the distance learning, because these things are the some of these things are the what we call strategy that we need to impose so that we can still sustain exactly what the students needed in terms as far as education or learning is concerned. And I hope I answered that question. Thank you. Back to you, ma'am. Thank you. Any more question, ma'am? Questions? question.
We got from Professor Dr. Pastor Arguelles. Those were commendable and the wonderful. I must thank him for the wonderful speech he has been given to us. Okay, so right now I would like to call upon the stage Professor Dr. B.C. Swine to conclude the session. Sir, please.
We have come to an end of this 2 hour international session on rethinking and reinventing educational technologies, strategy, and planning in present and past COVID-19. I may like to express our sincere thanks to our respected speaker, Professor Dr. Pastor Argules, to provide us with an excellent idea on the future aspect of innovative strategy. It is true that the educational technology is changing continuously and it represents a great opportunity for online learning. It is very important to discover how to learn using all available communication channels and choosing the ones that best suit a person's style of filtering the information. But still, we are missing the face to face interactions with our students. I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to our Honorable Chairman Sir, Sri Jayant Kumar Chakravarti, our respected Technical Director, Sri Kajal Das, our respected CEO Sir, Sri Madan Sarkar, our beloved Principal, Professor Tanmay Singha, all other faculties and of RCB and RED, and other dignitaries for the perfect support and guidance that has extended to all of us at this event. Finally, a big thanks you to our colleagues, participants, and students for their gracious presence. Thank you all for making this event successful with our contribution. Thank you. Namaskar.
So, thank you all for making this event so much successful. And thank you all for your heartiest contribution. Thank you once again.
Thanks so much.